we're going to see yet another game of Druid. And he's played it really, really, really well, has Nostam. And here we go. Now we get to see the reveal of the third deck of Dominus. So it's Shaman.
It's Shaman. This is the second player that we've seen using Shaman.
Shaman considered to be a little bit weak to Hunter. And Hunter is so popular that some players have strayed away or shied away, rather, from playing Shaman. But
ooh, we've got a good curve by Dominus, and Nostam also has a pretty good one. So we're going to see some reasonable openings from both players here.
Yeah, both players, a lot of early action here. A lot of business. Undertaker comes out on turn 1. He's got the Hunter Creeper ready to go to follow it up. And Undertaker Shaman, I've seen it some, and I've not seen it. Ooh, Innervate comes a turn 2 late for Nostam. He would have loved to play a turn 1 Shade against Shaman and get it out of Lightning Storm range as quickly as possible.
Oh, here comes the Lightning Storm. So, pretty easy follow-up with the Creeper here, and chooses not to clear that. It's probably going to wait for the Lightning Storm until killing off the Death Rattle.
Yeah, considering he's holding a Doomhammer, considering that he would be trading away his Undertaker, which still could theoretically grow, I think it makes a lot of sense to not attack the Haunted Creeper here.
Right.
It only leaves 1 power in play for your opponent instead of 2 plus 1 damage you did up to it already.
Here comes that early Shade of Naxxramas. It's going to start to grow. It's going to be a little tricky for Nostam to decide when to attack with the Shade of Naxxramas, when to do the Great Reveal.
I think you're right. And Dominus could just pull the trigger on Lightning Storm this turn. I think he's going to at least strongly consider it. He could kill off the Creeper and play Lightning Storm. It's the only time where it's really going to be guaranteed. Yeah. And it uses the Lightning Storm to kill the Shade instead of letting the Shade kill one of your minions.
That's right. And a nice bonus is he'll have a possibly clear board to coin Manatide Totem into.
It also locks Nostam out of playing Defender of Argus this turn. Well, I suppose he could, but it would be probably not the best plan.
All right, we've got Innervate used for only 1 mana, but that is perfectly fine because otherwise this Golem play isn't very strong.
Yep, Coinervate's out. Just the 4/6, Mr. Spectral Knight.
All right, so this is a little tricky for Dominus. He was looking for it to coin Manatide Totem on an empty board. However, that thing is not dealable with on this hand.
It could be worse. Even if all he does is Totem up this turn and attack, he will be able to theoretically deal with the Spectral Knight using Fire Elemental. What he doesn't know is that Nostam is holding that Defender of Argus, so the Defender of Argus will be able to grow his health by 1 if he chooses to play it that way. Nostam's hand is pretty light on total resources with which to fight.
Right.
So if Dominus can clear out what his opponent is doing, and he is at a relatively healthy 29 life total, I think he has a really good chance to win the game, at least as far as it looks right now. And so far, the choices that he's made have been pretty good. I think using the Lightning Storm the way he did was a good choice. And even though it overloaded him the next turn, it looks like he's going to be able to survive that and end up okay.
Yep.
This Spectral Knight is problematic, but again, now that he hasn't used the Defender of Argus, he can kill the Knight right now if that's what he wants to do.
Right, really tempting not to use the Defender of Argus for the Ooze. So Dominus coming on a very good turn here. Coin can take out the Spectral Knight, which is usually a big problem. Even Doomhammer could take out the Knight, although he would take 8 damage.
I think that he has so much resource in his hand.
Yes.
That I think it's best to just continue trading resources and not take 8 damage, which could theoretically put you in range to die. I think that this is a really, really strong play. Even the 6/5 for Druids is sometimes particularly difficult to deal with. And Nostam doesn't have any great answers.
Right. Swipe would be his dream answer, which it does not hold here.
6 mana for Echoing Ooze Defender of Argus is something you do often want to be doing.
Yes.
And this is a really powerful turn 6 play. Minion in play already. Play the Echoing Ooze, drop Defender of Argus. But his opponent is not at all out of stuff.
That's right. He can even repeat the same turn next turn. And that'll be a pretty good turn too.
It's what he's going to have to do at this point as far as we know. Certainly better than nothing, but not what you want to be doing when you know your opponent has that many cards in hand. Okay. Dominus gets to decide what his best way to deal with this is.
He's toying with the idea of doing a Doomhammer Earthshock combo, or Doomhammer Lightning Bolt, I think. You can kind of see the mouse movement that he's moving to kind of practice his swings. I like these practice swings sometimes.
Do you do a lot of practice swings yourself?
I myself try to do it in my head or vocalize it because this does give a little bit away to your opponent because they can see your mouse cursor as you do this. So they can possibly, potentially, like start getting into your head and trying to figure out what you're thinking and why you're thinking about making the attacks you are.
Yeah, I think I usually try to do either nothing and leave my mouse away from my cards until I know what I want to do, or alternatively, if I figure out what I know what I want to do really quickly, then I touch things that are irrelevant. So he does play pretty strong. He's going to leave just a 2-3 in play. Almost down to the end of the rope, but he's able to get it all off. This leaves the healing totem actually pretty nice. It leaves a 6-4. As far as we know, no swipe yet. Ancient Allure is a good draw, but he's still a bit behind on board. If you were playing that into an empty board, that would be the perfect draw. I consider Ancient Allure to be one of the most important cards in Druid versus Shaman.
Wow, is he playing Defender? Why did you play that before the Echoing is? Oh, it's Sacred Hero ability. Okay.
I think that is a really weak play in terms of using your resources as efficiently as possible, but it is the most guaranteed removal that he can get. It is the safest play in the immediate.
That's true, but a safe play is not going to cut it at this point. Given that you're staring at your opponent with a Doomhammer and they've got 5 cards in hand.
Well, he's hoping that Dominus is holding a bunch of removal and situational cards, and that Ancient of Lore will help climb him back into the game, which is not unreasonable. I think that it makes sense. I just don't know if it was the best play.
Okay.
So he does get to play an Ancient Allure against a board that is no longer as threatening as it was before. He is still down to 20, facing down a Doomhammer. And Dominus has a pretty good follow-up here, and he even picks up a Rockbiter weapon, which is going to threaten to close the game out real quick.
That's right. He could even think about doing the Rockbiter now, since 5 damage on the Ancient of Lore is pretty good.
He could. He also has the opportunity to either Fire Elemental or Hex.
Yeah, Hex is one of the biggest, if not the biggest card that a deck like this will run.
This is not the most likely play to win by next turn, but what it does do is it lets him play this Mana Tide Totem, which, considering he's at 16 and it doesn't represent an immediate threat, will probably draw more than 1 card, and is a really safe play moving forward.
Yeah, Dominus, by the way, is just spacing out his mana really well. The last turn before this, he played the Gnomish Inventor on 4 mana. I think that was a lot of calculation. He clearly spent a lot of time thinking about how the mana would space itself out.
Yeah, and Shaman can be very tricky when it comes to overloads. Sometimes you think you don't want to be overloaded next turn, but really you just need to get it out of the way so you don't mess up your Fire Elemental turn and stuff like that. So overall, he has had really good sequencing. And we saw Druid beat Shaman once earlier today, and Dominus really coming out strong with the Shaman against the Druid and showing that Shaman has a lot of game.
That's right. I think Shaman has a generally good matchup against most everything. In this case, against Druid, they've got a lot of the board clear on the cheap, and this type of deck tends to put out a lot of stuff, so seems like a natural move.
Nostam is really banking on this. Oh, wow. Well, that's just the end.
Good.
That's 16 by itself.
Well played.
Well, he had the win anyway. He doesn't need Rockbiter number 2, as it turns out.
Elements guide me.
It's just dead. So, was that the first Shaman win today?
I do believe so.
So, not many Shaman players, only a couple, and Dominus bringing Shaman, first time we've seen it among his lists here in the finals, takes down a game.